Hey, good morning, guys. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all having a good day. Uh, we're gonna be doing some more stories, The Path to Destinies. So, last time we actually unlocked all the truths that are needed to get to the end game, which is just like the one true timeline using all your knowledge that you already know. But I figure before we do that, we mess around with some of the other timelines because there's one in particular which I think I'll do first. That is my favorite. But there's definitely like a couple fun storyline options to see, so I think we're gonna mess with that for a little bit, and then we'll end with the final mission. But I hope you're
The
all doing well. I
clouds
hope you're all having a
parted
good
over
day.
the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Okay, and we'll do the final one before we find the Iblis
The
stone.
island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis stone. It would whisper promises in his ear, offer him power for blood. But this time, Renato was sure he could master it. And so, Renato went ostrich hunting. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals?
Okay, so I think we've also read the lore for this area.
What
We no longer
was
have to
he
focus on
doing
that as
here?
well.
Last time, the stone had fought him for possession of his own soul.
Yeah, using the sword's power with the time stop is just amazing.
The ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in.
If you were a book, would you be a hardcover
Good.
or a paperback? You
And he
forgot to
hadn't come
ask
too
that one
late.
already. um, I feel like a hardcover. Well, okay. I would prefer to be a hardcover because I just like the way hardcovers feel, and I feel like they protect a bit more. But I feel like personality-wise, I'm more of a soft cover book, because I can get damaged pretty easily, uh, not taken care of properly, if that makes sense. But yeah, I like hardcover. Dashing through enemies. We don't need any more shields. I can use that. I think I want to go more into sword magic, actually. Weirdly enough.
This was way better than being able to shrink down to the size of an ant.
Yeah, I kind of
Is
want
that all
more
right anyway?
sword magic just for the extra crit and the extra speed. Oh shoot. Yeah, so I'm trying to activate time stop as much as possible, but you have to like attack near like close to when you have to counter when close to when they stop. Or like when they're about to hit you. Oh shoot. Yeah, not the best combat, but that's fine.
It was definitely easier to fight inanimate objects.
I believe this one was just like a lore room, pretty much. If I remember correctly, I'm probably remembering wrong. No, yeah, there was that lore over there. But I hope you're doing well, Strap, and I hope your day's going pretty good so far.
These were really nice chests. You should take one home, he thought.
Oh shoot. Keep doing that. Okay, I think we should actually go back, because I think I've done this one before, and I kind of want to take the long way.
He felt like Tarzan.
If I can. I don't think so, since I've already fucked. Yeah, it's fine. Next time I'll just try to remember to go the other way. Not that it really matters, particularly, because we already got the, level 3 of all the gems we want.
This jewel was more than sparkly. It had arcane power and an engraving. To Cindy.
Okay, that one actually got me to chuckle. Okay, yeah, I think it's just a side room. I think we've done it before also, but more material isn't bad. We can get all of our swords maxed out. Which, I mean, we're only really going to be using the purple sword ever now, but it'll be nice.
Bam! Welcome to Earth. Renato told the corpses. It was something he'd seen in a play once.
Hey, Payne, how you doing?
Raven
How's your day going
did
so
not
far?
get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. Ah, impatient.
Haven't gone to sleep yet. Everything is great. Oh no. Hydrate and stretch. I got you, Strap. Something keeping you up, or you just like you just want to stay up to stay up? 'Cause I
This
feel it either way.
couldn't be good for global warming. It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. Who said that? It was the stone. Eager, thirsty. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. It's the core, said the stone anxiously. But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Okay, you stayed up late so you could go to the grocery store early because it's supposed to be ungodly hot today. I feel you. I woke up and I was like extremely hot, but my room is like always the temperature of outside, so that's something I deal with constantly. Um, but yeah, I definitely feel you on how it's hot today. Like I'm drinking a little bit more water than usual because it's if not my body will be overly hot. So I think the my favorite route involves getting the core, if I remember correctly. But we'll definitely check this one out later on.
The stone bothered him. He hated being told what to do. Wasn't that why he joined the rebellion? Wasn't that why he'd refused to be a soldier? He'd agreed to come on board only if he could freelance. The stone felt a bit clingy, and he had a feeling it did not have his best interests at heart. The sage Calaveras had told him where to find the Sky Ripper, a weapon capable of challenging the gods. Even without its armature, the core would still possess great power. He would go there. The moment he landed the Farfarer, Renato had a rare feeling of regret. It's not too late, he thought. He could turn around and sail for Zenobia's island. He frowned. Wait a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he? Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at Sword Fu school together. They'd never been lovers, but somehow they'd been closer. She'd told him every secret about herself. Except the biggest one. That she was the Emperor's daughter. No. Kill Zenobia, whispered the stone. Before it's too late.
Sorry, gonna heal and then read those. Dear Zenobia, the director of the academy has told me how much he was impressed by your academic performance and leadership. Somehow I doubt this was a session of bootlicking. I have seen plenty of those. That old toad is sincere. I am proud of you, my daughter. You will make a fine empress one day. On my end, great news. Professor Calaveras has been studying the Nexus, and he has made a bold observation. That toad is a true genius. You know how that island is unique, constantly changing, new crystalline formations appearing, island fragments merging, splitting, slowly drifting, held together by some invisible threads. Professor Calaveras is convinced those changes are not random, but rather indicative of the living nature of the islands. He has observed that certain changes on the Nexus follow, or sometimes precede, the turbulence on another island. Landslide, quake, flood, Nexus seem to resonate with those events. Maybe the islands are a hive mind, and the Nexus is the brain? In any case, I am funding a permanent scientific observation on the Nexus. It will attract the Empire's greatest minds, with Professor Calaveras at the helm. I anticipate a great age of enlightenment for the Empire. With love, Father. I don't know, I kept saying Empire, and I wanted to say
Come
Emperor.
on, boys! Caught the lead, Raven.
Nice. Dang, it didn't give me the exclamation point for the counter. Or at least, yeah, he just kind of charged in, so I took that damage. Which way am I going? Or is Sway a dead end? I think it's a dead end. Oh, no, there's a path over here. It's like,
If they didn't want their things broken, they really ought to make them stronger.
he definitely saw me there. I feel like I should have taken damage.
The stone hadn't lied about what it could do for him. With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his arm. You're weak, whispered the stone. The core will kill you. Are you afraid of it? Don't be ridiculous. It chuckled. But it's unstable. If a poison moves, I might just carry it, and then if you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically. Renato did not trust rocks that talked in his head. He went onwards. He'd once met a pirate captain who used hooks to get around his ship. Oh, what was his name again?
Oh, did I? I want the same way. The same way. There we go.
Renato could feel his fur singe.
Okay, so it seems like any sword after the green sword can unlock the green area, which I think makes sense because the green sword's like the basic sword, the hero sword. And you could assume that the other swords have like are considered a hero sword just by like, being them.
Sometimes, at home, he'd wave his sword around for hours. As he approached the core, the stone became hysterical. No, it's too much power. We will rip a hole in space and time. He had a sudden vision of plunging his gauntlet into the core and dying in anguish. That wasn't his vision, was it? The stone had sent him its darkest fears, hadn't it? He had a sudden impulse to do exactly that. He raised his right fist and plunged it into the core. There was a rush of light. He thought he could hear the stone screaming. And then he passed out. When Renato came to, the core was gone. But the Iblastone was no longer black, but glowing with a blue light. And it was silent. "I can't hear you," he sang out, and "You?" It didn't answer. "Ha!" he said. He had defeated the demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. Take the battle to the enemy. But among the huge crystals, there was also an observatory. A wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first. How wise was he?
Okay, and then I think we go to the
As
scientists.
the Farfarer made its way toward the Nexus, Bernardo watched sparks fly out of the core. The Iblastone sucked them in hungrily. You'd think the stone would want this kind of power, wouldn't it? Thought Renato. Well, the scientists would explain it all. This time, Renato was sure he'd figured out how to use the core safely. See? He'd trusted his gut, and it had worked out. That's what it meant to be a hero. To ignore the naysayers and the oddmakers, and do what you knew was right, and have it turn out to be the right thing. Well, he wasn't worried. Once he got to the observatory, the scientist toads could explain it. Then he could carry the war into the enemy's camp and destroy them all. Oh dear, he was getting a little bloodthirsty, wasn't he? He wished there were more pylons he could use the hook on. They really needed to construct additional pylons.
I wish there was some way to get the first part of the, I guess, the armature, they called it. I wish you could get the armature and the Iblastone, which I think what we have right now is a stabilized Iblastone, but I think we could still put it where the core's piece was. But we could probably have like a stable death weapon, like before, but there's probably wouldn't be any of the odds of like potential universe destruction. Did we read this one? Yeah, we did. Ah, shoot. Get off. I haven't been getting a lot of essence at all, so it's been harder to
Bernardo had never
level up
felt
everything.
better in his life. Normally, a battle would wear him down, and he would need a night's sleep. Now he felt like he could go all night and all day. He felt like people were cheering him on, and he could practically hear their applause as he slew one raven after another. The Iblis Stone and the Skyripper Core. Two artifacts from the time of legends. Renato was becoming a legendary hero, wasn't he? He had enough power to save the rebellion, but he had to understand this power, so he would not misuse it. Good thing Renato didn't have vertigo.
Oh, sure. There we go. You should be fine now. Swap.
The toads at the observatory measured the stone with their occult devices. I fed it the core of Skyripper, explained Renato. No more feed me blood and souls. But the core is not an unlimited energy source, said one toad. Another said, there's a feedback loop, you see, which could overload the stone. The stone doesn't actually feed on souls, claimed a third, but on pain of killing another sentient being. If you can truly be at peace with yourself, it would not overload. This was all very confusing. At peace? Yes, the mountains were peaceful and quiet, but he now had the power to turn the tides. He should report to the Rebellion Council and prepare for the decisive battle.
Too much killing would overload it. He had to find inner peace, maintain balance. I think going actually to the mountains leads to sort of my favorite ending. But I definitely want to come back and try to do like the rebellion path
The
after
one
taking
thing
the
he
core.
understood from all the toad arguments, maybe the stone did not feed on blood or souls or rage. It fed on empathy. It fed on the pain he felt when he put an end to another being's existence. Even if that other being was a raven intent on killing him, if he could find peace, then he could use the power of the Iblis Stone without being taken over by its evil. Yes, that was the way to defeat the Iblis Stone. The mountains. He would go to the mountains. He could find peace there. Unfortunately, the mountains were not empty. There were ravens everywhere. No matter. He had to fight, yes, but he didn't have to be angry. Parry, dodge, slash, and breathe. Yes, focus on the rhythm, the dance of it, not on the blood or the raven's core as they died. Ah, it was working. He wasn't feeling those dark jolts of eldritch energy. He wasn't feeding the Iblis Stone. Quite the view, he thought.
Okay.
The stone was still silent. His mind was his own, and his heart, too. He bore them no ill will, these ravens. They were doing their job. They were expressing their nature. Dance, whirl, parry, jab, and breathe. It was all so simple, wasn't it? Something was missing. He didn't feel truly at peace. Wait. Wasn't this near where Calaveras lived? The sage would help him figure it all out.
Dang, couldn't keep up with the combo. So the grappling hook is good for keeping up the combo, which is nice, especially when they're very far away. You can't like dash up to them quickly. Hold on. Okay, sorry.
Don't look down, he thought.
Make up. Hold on. There we go. So I don't think I've been here yet. Dear Zenobia, do you remember that expedition I have sent to the depths beneath Wild Islands? They have returned. Well, 3 ships have returned out of the 8 I sent. Of course, I mourn the losses, but the knowledge the survivors brought back is invaluable. What they have experienced is incredible. The air gradually grows denser and more turbulent, until it becomes a suffocating, bone-crushing thunderstorm. But the islands keep stretching for miles below the surface, and they have roots that radiate downward far beyond sight. The islands are alive. This is the proof I was looking for. The thick air of the depths keeps them afloat, and in the depths they find their sustenance. Do they have a conscience, or are they aware of our existence, or are we merely parasites that they ignore or tolerate? We must prepare another expedition. This time I will go myself. I need to see this wondrous world of the endless deep sky. I hope you'll visit me before I leave. I'd like to hear more about that new friend of yours, Renardo. With love, Father. Oh, okay, so the notes that end with Father is probably notes from the past, like the actual past, before he got corrupted. It sounds like before the rebellion, I should say. Well, the notes with that say like his full name are ones that have happened like, more recently. I think that makes a little bit more sense.
the terror of the sandcastles when he was two.
Oh shoot, there you go.
The Iblis Stone, silenced by the Skyripper's core, had given Renato enough power to challenge the Imperial fleet. But what Renato was seeking was inner peace. The rebellion was on the verge of extinction, but it would have to wait. At the end of the mountain path, he found the wise Calaveras in his workshop. To fix souls or only artifacts? He asked the sage. Does your soul need fixing? Asked the sage. I've been killing a lot of ravens lately, he told the sage. You're a fox, said Calaveras. To kill birds is part of your nature. Take joy in it. I mean, I might as well worry about eating flies. Would you like a fly? It was true. That's what he had forgotten. The joy. Now he was ready for the final battle. The Farfarer cut through the clouds. The air had never felt so sweet since he was a child. There it was. The dreaded Imperial fleet. He could smell wet hemp ropes ahead, wood and tar, and ravens. Even the fleet smelt good, somehow. He was ready. He was ready. Renato had it all squared away in his head. He would kill the Emperor. Isengrim III had begun well, but he had gone mad. He was trying to invoke the lost gods by means of dark, blasphemous rituals. That was a secret, but the victims had spoken to Renato. The ghosts had spoken. No. No anger. Renato could not afford anger. It was empowering the crystal in his sword. That made him stronger, but it clouded his mind. He would not be a hero. A hero strives. Renato would just be one with everything. The Emperor would die, and the wheel would turn, and all would be restored without rancor, without sorrow, without pain. Ravens didn't smell any better dead, Renato thought.
I do like the effects the Evil Stone gives you, whether it's corrupted or you're on the purification path. It gives you a blue trail whenever you dash, seems like. Or like a blue aura.
Just trying to teach you how to fly.
And then when, like, if you go the corruptor path, it gives you like a purple aura. I believe we've read this one, right? Yeah. Should I already get to that one? I feel like it almost touches it. Wait. Am I missing something? I can't leave or go back. I don't think my hook can reach that far for the other one. Yeah, for that one. I feel like I soft locked myself. Hold on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty certain I did, actually. But there is no way out. Like, unless there's something I'm supposed to do there, but I don't think so. Hold on, I'm gonna return to main menu. Like, I want to, but I feel like I'll lose all my progress and then I can't go back to, like, exactly where I'm at. But it looks like I'm soft locked. And I can't tell if there's, like, an upgrade I was supposed to get that extends my hookshot, which is probably what I feel like should happen here. But then again, I don't know if, like, going back will, like, reset all our progress, which I think it will. I think that's the only thing we could do here. We can't, like, actually go back, which kind of sucks. But oh no, okay, good. So I did restart the level. Good.
Renato had it all squared away in his head. He would kill the Emperor. Isengrim III had begun well, but he had gone mad. He was trying to invoke the lost gods by means of dark, blasphemous rituals. That was a secret. But the victims had spoken to Renato. The ghosts had spoken. No. No anger. Renato could not afford anger. It was empowering the crystal in his sword. That made him stronger, but it clouded his mind. He would not be a hero. A hero strives. Renato would just be one with everything. The Emperor would die, and the wheel would turn, and all would be restored without rancor, without sorrow, without pain. But the more he thought about it, and he had so much more time to think about it now that he was not worrying about the battle, killing the Emperor would not change anything. Another would take his place. Perhaps Zenobia. Perhaps the Speaker of the Rebel Council, and power would corrupt them too, and death would make grief, and grief would lead to hatred. He must lead by example. Reject the violence. Reject the desire to create violence. But how? Renato danced around the room yelling, "Oh yeah, that's how we do it." It was something he liked to do, but only after he'd killed all the witnesses. Finally, he came to the Emperor's ship. The path behind him was strewn with dead ravens. The path to enlightenment. His mistake, he realized, was trying to change the world. The world would spin and the wheel would revolve whether he strove against it or not. What he had to do was nothing. He had attained enlightenment. He sat down, adopted a full lotus position, and began to meditate. And all around him, the warriors stopped fighting too. They knew. They could feel his enlightenment. They gave up fighting, dropped their weapons, and became his disciples. No, just kidding. The nearest raven stabbed him with a sword and then chopped off his head. I might not have thought this through properly. Thought Renado's head as it rolled around the deck and died. Oh, again? But he already had all the secrets he needed. He was sure of that. He must have not used them the right way. What was the best, worst mistake he could make? Probably trusting that traitor Lapino.
Okay. So that one's one of my more favorite endings, just because like he basically has the power of the Iblis Stone, but he goes so far in trying to not get corrupted, he just can't fight anymore, which is like the main problem. If he could solve that, he'd be able to, end the rebellion. But these timelines are sort of made to the point where like you can't fully realize that destiny a
The
future
book's
correctly.
pages fluttered to the beginning once again, faster than before, and he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renata knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis Stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Okay, so we're gonna go back down the Evil Stone path, but we're gonna go to I forgot her name already. We're gonna go see his friend and then
The island was
knock him.
windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis Stone. It would whisper promises in his ear, offer him power for blood. But this time, Bernardo was sure he could master it. And so, Bernardo went ostrich hunting. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in a buried temple, another ancient item that was only resurfacing now, drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals?
Oh shoot. I was attacking so fast I didn't see he was actually one of the bomb
The Raven
boys.
already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late.
Okay. Did we go fully down the combo tree? I don't think we did. No. Okay, yeah, let's
Cool.
complete this out.
Wish I could do that.
Although I still feel like if we could get the core and the Evil Stone together and put it in the Armistice, I feel like he could still have
Maybe
a pretty
I should
stable
follow
weapon,
my nose, thought Renato.
at least for a little bit. But he would need someone to go after it for him, and he can't really trust Lapino to do it. And like the only person that he could technically trust would be the Emperor's daughter, but he would need to like convince her
Building these platforms was so expensive, they'd run out of budget for guardrails.
to help him, which would take time away from getting the Evil Stone. Yeah, it's the fact that everything is so time sensitive as well.
Ooh, sparkly, thought Renato. The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. Renato hated cannon traps. Also, who reloaded these things anyway? He never figured that part out.
He also does have a route where he thinks he knows how to fix it.
It was a stone
We're gonna avoid
with the
that for a little bit.
purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. Who said that? It was the stone. Eager, thirsty. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Skyripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. It's the core, said the stone anxiously. But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Yeah, Rainbow Zenobia.
Why was he listening to a talking rock? Ah, but the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old toad had sought for himself. To be a hero, you had to sacrifice old friends sometimes, especially when they've become enemies. As he placed the impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Bernardo had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun. Was it the time of the lost gods before the transcendent emperor? Was it the future? Feed these souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls, its thirst for blood. All right, I get it. This was going to be interesting.
There we go.
That's my order, thought Renato. He was such a wit.
Honestly, maybe if there was a route where he like meets Zenobia first before doing anything else, maybe that would help. But we would never really know since the timeline doesn't really work for that. In order to meet Zenobia, he has to do something else on the other timelines, and then choose to like do something with Zenobia.
The ravens on Zenobia's island were no match for Renato. They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls, and with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him. You never knew where the road would take you, thought Renato. He couldn't do worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he? He blinked. Zenobia was waiting for Renato. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws. Are you here to surrender? She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone. And I've missed you too, love. He chuckled. She spotted the stone and bolted without another word.
Okay, I think there's still a chest in here. Even though we technically don't need them anymore.
Who leaves these chests everywhere? Wondered Renato. I should send him a thank you note. Finally, Renato caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before. At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way. "Kill her," whispered the stone. "You cannot win your rebellion without it." "Please." "No," said Zenobia. "Not that way." Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be?
Okay, and we're gonna spare her this time.
Renato hesitated. Zenobia was his greatest enemy. She was the Emperor's daughter and his greatest general, and the single person Renato least wanted to remove from this world, especially that way. She was holding her arms out before her, hands fluttering, fending him off with hopeless urgency. Nope, she was weaving a spell. He couldn't move. "This thing is evil," she said. She slid the Iblistone out of its slot in his gauntlet and slipped it into a bag. "Maybe we can learn from it." She eyed him with a strange, wry, apologetic look. "I missed you too." And before he could move again, she was gone. Learn from the Iblistone? What did that mean? Would she take it to the palace or to the observatory on the Nexus? If she thought it was evil, she wouldn't want it in the palace. And, after all, it was evil, wasn't it? Maybe I can outrace her to the observatory, thought Renato. Cats can run faster, but foxes can run longer. Renato felt a little sick. Ever since Zenobia had taken the stone from him, he'd felt an ache that wouldn't go away. He missed it. He wanted it back. He needed it back. Why hadn't he killed her when he had the chance? She was the enemy. He hadn't even seen her in 14 years. Why had he hesitated? "You're a sucker for an empowered woman." Renato kicked himself. "Don't make that mistake again."
Okay, so I think the end of this is also one of my more favorite timelines, but I think I just like the Evil Stone in general. Generally, when there's an artifact that corrupts the user, it's always interesting to me to see like how they handle it, or like a power that makes them more evil.
Zenobia thought the stone was evil. Was it? Well, yes, but he still longed to have it back. He'd felt so good killing ravens with it, and yet he'd felt unclean ever since he'd touched it. She confused him. She'd made him want to be a better fox, and then she'd abandoned him, never telling him she was the Emperor's daughter, never contacting him since. Well, who was she to tell him the stone was evil? Oh, this really didn't have much in the way of safety features, did it?
We're getting a little better at those time stops. It's definitely my favorite power of the game. Just dodging at the correct, or not, no, not dodging, countering at the correct time in order to slow down time, and then buffing myself with the purple sword so that I can speed throughout it. I think it'll get even more fun when we get the ability to one-shot enemies.
The scientist toads were pointing arcane instruments at the stone and looking at it through prisms and reflections. Mine, said Renato as he took back the stone. We need it for science, croaked the toads. So he killed them. He felt better immediately. Smarter, too. I thought you'd never come for me, whispered the stone. Then, a far-speaker toad croaked, and something like Zenobia's voice. Renato, leave the stone with the toads. It will swallow your soul. You will kill everyone you love. That did seem vaguely familiar, but Renato had an army to lead, an empire to bring down. I know you can fight this thing, Zenobia continued in the far speaker's croak. You let me live. You know how evil it is. It will destroy you, Renato. It will destroy everything you love. He had tried to convince himself that this time he would control the Iblis stone. But he could feel his will becoming brittle. She was right. He would get rid of it. Right? Now. Or now. He didn't really want to. I know. I'll go to the mountains, Renato thought. I'll find the strength to do it in the peace and quiet there.
Okay, and we'll see what happens within the mountains.
As the Farfarer landed at the foot of the mountains, Renato was surprised to find Lapino there. What are you doing here? Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I was stowed away on an Imperial courier ship, dressed up as a combat nurse carrying a general's beak transplant. This is not a great time, said Renato, who was pretty sure he did not, in fact, believe Lapino's story. That's when you need your friends, said Lapino. I just need some peace and quiet, said Renato, and grimly set out on the path.
This makes me wonder what he's doing there specifically. Because you already know he is a traitor.
Take a leap of faith, said the inscription.
I thought I blocked that.
Renato told his friend how he had slaughtered the toads and how he had nearly slain Zenobia. A terrible burden, this Iblis stone, sympathized the rabbit. Yeah, but I need it for the rebellion. Do you now? You know, you were a pretty fine fighter before you were wielding a demonic decoration. Oddly, the sword wasn't whispering at him to kill Lapino. Up ahead in the mountains, there was a peaceful spot. If he could rid himself of his burden anywhere, it was there.
Well, I guess if he knows that we have the evil stuff already, like if he had like pre-knowledge of it, he would come to see like how we were holding up with it, and maybe use it for the Reaper.
In this chest, there were woodcuts of amazingly beautiful vixens wearing no clothes at all, and something more useful.
Yeah, I feel like we have enough ore for at least one more upgrade. It's just that we need the essence, which we haven't gotten in a while.
Sometimes, Renato thought he would make a difference, snatching the Iblastone before the Emperor could get it. And it would destroy him. Zenobia and Lupino, they were both trying to save him. Peace. That was what he needed. So much for peace and quiet. There was Lupino. Again. You're stronger than some dumb rock, Lupino said. Let's just bury it, and no one will ever find it again. Renato could feel the spirit energy of all those dead ravens inside him, pecking away. The rabbit was right. Even if the rabbit was a traitor, he was still right. He tore the Iblastone from his gauntlet and threw it into the hole Lupino had dug. Stone was silent. Probably sulking. Now whoop those Imperials, said Lupino. Aren't you coming? No, I can't come with you. It's my old injury, you know. Recently, it's been acting up terrible. I'd be no use to you at all. So Renato boarded the Farfarer alone. Renato felt lonely on board the Farfarer. How could his old friend Lupino, miraculously escaped from the Empire, leave him to face the final battle alone? Well, he'd abandoned Lupino before, hadn't he? It was only fair. And of course he felt lonely. He'd given up the Iblastone and all the souls he fed it. Of course he felt alone. But he had done the right thing. It had been hard to do, but there was no better feeling than that. Zenobia would be so proud of him.
Honestly, though, I feel like since we know he's the traitor at this point, there should be another branching path to where, like, he doesn't trust Lupino there.
The battle, alas, was not going well. He no longer had the stone, and he'd never gotten the core. Lupino wasn't with him, and he was up against Zenobia, out there somewhere, maneuvering the Emperor's forces. The rebels had been outnumbered from the start, and he still had that aching longing for the stone. But that is what it means to be a hero. He would fight his way to Zenobia. He would show her what he was capable of. Just him, with no diabolic accoutrements. He would win, no matter the odds.
It is also weird how this all started by Renato promising a kid's mother that he wouldn't let her die. And he just happened to die. Like, and we never really talk about that kid again.
Yes, that was it. Pirouettes, slash, parry, dodge. Renato had never done such good work in a fight. He wished the poets were along to sing of his exploits for his old age. Maybe he wouldn't have to kill Zenobia. Maybe he could defeat her and take her prisoner. Then he could turn the tide against the Emperor. If she wasn't crowned princess, once this was all over, she'd have more time for him, right? Imagine getting a horse up in one of these things. He will be cursing a blue streak. Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Again. This time, he'd make an end of him. He'd screwed up last time, but he had a good feeling about this time.
There we go.
By some miracle, Renato fought his way to the Emperor's ship. He was exhausted, bleeding, but he'd found the strength to reject the stone. Zenobia came out of the ship. "Renato!" she shouted, and then she fell down and died. Lapino was behind her, wielding a sword that seemed to suck all the light out of the sun. "You idiot! You threw the stone away!" cried Lapino. "You said it was evil." "It hates sanctimonious prigs like you," laughed Lapino. "We're having a grand old time." Renato turned and ran. But no matter where he ran, Lapino jumped in front of him until Renato was cornered. That boy could hop. "You wouldn't do this to an old friend, would you?" cried Renato. "You mean this?" said Lapino as he slid the sword into Renato's guts. "Damn it! Again? Oh, again?" But he already had all the secrets he needed. He was sure of that. He must have not used them the right way. What was the best, worst mistake he could make? Probably trusting that traitor Lapino.
Okay, so that seemed that, like, even though we didn't start with Lupino, it still ended up being a Lupino story. And that was number 2, apparently, I think.
The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. Faster than before? And he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Okay. One more Eblis Stone run. Let's see what he would do to try to avoid the power.
The island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis Stone. It would whisper promises in his ear, offer him power for blood. But this time, Bernardo was sure he could master it. And so, Bernardo went ostrich hunting. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals?
Okay, that was close. I almost hit it again.
Here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late.
Okay, more into combo again.
That would come in handy in a pinch.
Now we just need 2 more levels. Okay. Yes, I think the only way we can really get essence now is through,
There was a pleasant breeze coming through that door. Had it been closed before?
through actually just completing more of the story timelines. Because we've gone through like, the levels multiple times already, it looks like all we're really getting is ore.
I think he got tired of doing that, thought Renato.
Okay. There we go, just needed to max this out, so now we don't have to worry about
The sword felt even
upgrading the
colder.
swords, and I think our gems are pretty much all maxed out. Or at least the gems I care about are, so we no
There
longer
had
have to
to
worry
be
about the
some
workbench.
way to use the Iblis stone. It was old, wasn't it? People are so much cleverer now. And Renato was pretty sure he was cleverer than most people. The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. Renato wondered if it wasn't cheaper to build bridges and stairs. It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. Who said that? It was the stone. Eager, thirsty. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Skyripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. It's the core, said the stone anxiously. But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Okay.
The gem could give great power, but it was evil. But Renato had a plan. He would divide the stone into the power half and the evil half. He sought out the sage Calaveras.
Oh, you need a mirror of splitting.
Croaked Calaveras.
I can make one.
Calaveras set up various shiny things. And soon Renato was setting the stone down in the middle of Calaveras' lab. There was a flash, and now Renato was looking at himself. Except with a mustache, and a goatee and darker hair. There were two Iblis stones. One light, and one dark. Renato took the light one. He felt a rush of great power. Now I can defeat the Emperor. Wait a minute. Unfortunately, he couldn't think of any way to use it without hurting someone. That wouldn't be nice. Give me that, said his evil-looking twin. And he drew his sword. He only got it halfway out of the scabbard when he fainted from the effort. Obviously, neither weak, evil Renato nor powerful, nice Renato was any threat to the Empire. After the Emperor's victory, they were exhibited in a museum until time ended, which was soon after. He had tried something bold and paid the price for it.
Yeah, sometimes knowing the truth doesn't give you like the ending
Every
that you
child
would want.
could sing verses about the Skyripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate
Okay.
soul.
Can we quit the main menu and go down a different path? I'm wondering, or will it actually force us to
It was a
go through
stone
it?
of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up.
Okay, so all of us decide again. That's good.
Who said that? It was the stone. eager, thirsty. Kill the Emperor's daughter. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. Not the core, said the stone anxiously. But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the core, and then we're just gonna go completely down the path of like just
The
fighting.
stone bothered him. He hated being told what to do. Wasn't that why he joined the rebellion? Wasn't that why he'd refused to be a soldier? He'd agreed to come on board only if he could freelance. The stone felt a bit clingy, and he had a feeling it did not have his best interests at heart. The sage Calaveras had told him where to find the Sky Ripper, a weapon capable of challenging the gods. Even without its armature, the core would still possess great power. He would go there. The moment he landed the Farfarer, Renato had a rare feeling of regret. It's not too late, he thought. He could turn around and sail for Zenobia's island. He frowned. Wait a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he? Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at Sword Fu school together. They'd never been lovers, but somehow they'd been closer. She'd told him every secret about herself. Except the biggest one. That she was the Emperor's daughter. No. Kill Zenobia. There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. If only he had a portal onto the Emperor's ship, this would be a short war.
Nice. I think the most we can get.
Hadn't lied about what it could do for him. With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his arm. You're weak, whispered the stone. The core will kill you. Are you afraid of it? Don't be ridiculous. It chuckled. But it's unstable. It's poisonous. I might just carry it, and if you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically. Renato did not trust rocks that talked in his head. He went onwards.
And that clearly derailed my train of thought. Yeah, I don't even remember what I was trying to say. Dang.
As he approached the core, the stone became hysterical. No, it's too much power. We will rip a hole in space and time. He had a sudden vision of plunging his gauntlet into the core and dying in anguish. That wasn't his vision, was it? The stone had sent him its darkest fears, hadn't it? He had a sudden impulse to do exactly that. He raised his right fist and plunged it into the core. There was a rush of light. He thought he could hear the stone screaming. And then he passed out. When Renato came to, the core was gone. But the Iblis stone was no longer black, but glowing with a blue light. And it was silent. I can't hear you, he sang out, and you? It didn't answer. Ha, he said. He had defeated the demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. take the battle to the enemy. But among the huge crystals, there was also an observatory. A wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first. How wise was he?
Okay, and we'll do the other path.
As the Farfarer sailed towards the Nexus, Bernardo wondered if the core had been created to silence the stone, or even to feed its hunger. Honestly, he didn't care. He felt terrific, and he appreciated the quiet inside his head. The Nexus was infested with ravens, but that didn't bother Renato. With each death, the converted Iblis stone in his gauntlets glowed brighter, and he felt stronger. Wow. He was getting a bit bloodthirsty, wasn't he? Well, he was as well. He was a warrior. They're supposed to be bloodthirsty. And that is how we do it, said Renato to himself.
Yeah, so although it radiates a blue aura, I feel like eventually it'll radiate a purple one again, and then we'll still have the end, like, the end times where the stone sort of takes over. You can definitely try the Skyripper stuff
There was an
next.
inscription on the platform. Balaleka lessons, with an address.
I think it's a reference to Sight, actually. That specifically. I think there's a character that has a Balaleka. We're gonna play it next, actually, Sight. Another one of my favorite games. And it's similar to this one, it has the same sort of concept.
The core, absorbed in the stone, was doing its job perfectly. Bernardo could feel a little eldritch jolt every time he downed a raven, but then it flowed into the glowing stone the way water flows down a riverbed. It all felt perfectly natural, as if all his life, this was what he had been meant to do. The Nexus was a key node in the Empire's communications. From here, he could cut the ravens off from all communications with the palace. Renato tore through the last remaining guards at the outpost like hot coffee through snow. There was a far speaker toad here. He called the council speaker. He knew she would be thrilled, and she was. She wanted him to come back to base. They had plans to discuss, and a medal to give him. A large, golden medal. Great, said Renato. Let's talk about who else I can kill. Then the far speaker croaked again.
Hello, Renato, he said. If you get sick of slaughtering second-rate birds in the Nexus, I'm waiting for you in the mountains.
Zenobia. She missed him. She loved him. Once she saw how awesome he'd become, maybe she'd join him. They'd kiss and... Well, if she did refuse for some reason, he was no match for him now.
I think we're gonna go back to the rebel base and see what happens.
Zenobia was taunting him. No doubt She hoped to lure him into a trap. Well, he was nobody's sucker. Especially not hers. He carried victory in his gauntlet. He would go where the council pointed him. As he set foot on the island, Renato felt energized, like when he was hunting or dancing. Then he smelt it, the stench of ravens. It was a good thing he was here too, before they tripped over the secret base. He was really saving the council toad's bacon, so to speak. He missed her. Not Zenobia, Hypatia, the kid's mother. Renato had never thought he'd date a librarian. He'd always figured himself for the barmaid type. But then, he'd never figured the library of Ubar would have comic books, or that Hypatia would know anything about them. He missed her.
Oh, there we go. He actually talks about her.
Renato had an artifact that made him practically a godlike warrior. All he had to do now was collect his medal, head for the Imperial fleet, and raise some hell. See? Renato was a hero of the revolution. He deserved a medal. Soon, he deserved every medal they had, and hopefully one big medal ceremony in front of everybody with trumpets so everyone could know what he'd accomplished.
Yeah, but you do notice that when he gets like the perfected, well, I guess not even really perfected, it's just kind of delaying the inevitable. But when he does get it, he just becomes like super cocky.
Well, the eyes have had it. The long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good. Ice walls only let you through if they knew you were cool.
I think you could still move around in that cutscene if you manage to unlock the door as it starts. It's pretty interesting. So I think I moved like a tiny bit before I came back. Hey Dinah, how you doing? Stopping in just before a stream as usual. Thank you for stopping by. It's always nice seeing you. I hope you have a good stream.
Inside the rebel base, Renato was invited to the council speaker's private chambers. So, this is the Iblis Stone? He said. I can feel its power. Renato told her how he had fed the core to the stone and made something even more useful than either. Crazy like a fox, she croaked. And Renato chuckled as if he'd never heard the joke before. We've given you the best quarters and a bottle of Tantalonian firewater. All for you. So they'd remembered. He woke in the morning with the sweetest of hangovers.
The Iblistone was gone from his gauntlet.
The corridors were empty, except for a few rebels who looked just as hungover as him. Come on, you'll miss the battle, they yelled. Renato added sail as the Farfarers scudded across the sky. Who could have taken the Iblistone? Was it some Imperial spy? He would find him, and kill him, and take the stone back. Renato had a bad taste in his mouth. He was killing ravens, but it wasn't fun. It felt like a chore. Oh, Renato hated chores. As a fox kid, he'd gone hungry rather than clean his room. He still didn't clean his room, he just moved house every few years. Who had the Iblistone anyway? Up ahead, he could hear screaming and croaking and cawing. But who was winning?
Okay.
It was time for a little exploration.
I do find it cool that like nearly everywhere they go, and even like how they talk about
As
it.
he ran forward, Renato noticed that some ravens were starting to ignore him, just running away. Who were they running from? Some hero of the revolution? If some other so-called hero of the revolution had the stone and tried to take his victory and his medals, Renato was going to be seriously pissed off. He was the hero, not some other bozo.
Yeah, it completely took me off track. I completely forgot what I was saying.
Ravens didn't smell any better dead, Renato thought.
But this has definitely been fun. I've been really enjoying playing the game again. Nice, another level. I think one more and then we can one-shot enemies.
Finally, Renato came to the Emperor's ship. Zenobia lay dead in front of it. The ship was a wreck. Ravens lay dead, sprawled everywhere. Bloody feathers spattered across the deck and the dock. The council speaker came out. She was waving a sword around like a flag. "Look at me, Renato!" She croaked. The Iblis stone on the sword was black as coal.
Now I will be Empress, and all shall tremble before me, she croaked.
So the stone had her. It was in her brain, whining for blood. I'm afraid I can't allow that, said Renato, and moved to fight her. Toads are not usually good with swords. Something about the footwork. And the council speaker was not even a warrior. She was always tripping over things, which was quite an impressive achievement when you're a toad. Yet somehow, she was pressing Renato backwards as he desperately tried to keep her sword away from his throat. Look, why don't you keep the stone? He asked. You deserve it.
Blood and souls for Iblis, she croaked. Blood and souls.
She got under his guard with her sword. It was just the tip. But sometimes just the tip is enough. He could feel his soul being sucked into the stone. As he died, he felt embarrassed more than anything else.
Oh, again?
But he already had all the secrets he needed. He was sure of that. He must have not used them the right way. What was the best, worst mistake he could make? Probably trusting that traitor Lapino.
Okay, I think we could do like one or two more, and then we'd have to end it there. So let's go back to the Sky Ripper story.
The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. Faster than before? And he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Okay, back to the Sky Ripper.
Every child knew about the Sky Ripper. The Transcendent Emperor had buried its pieces deep. And then, this Emperor's horrific sacrifices had brought it back to the surface. Renato wasn't exactly sure how to use the legendary weapon. But surely, there must be some way to do it without provoking another catastrophe. Had he, somehow, summoned the long-lost components of the legendary weapon out of the deep places of the
Hydrate, you
Earth?
got it, Dinah.
It was more than Renato could fathom. But if he could find a legendary weapon, he would use it.
Thank you for that, actually.
As
I
he
still
set
have
foot
nearly
on
a
the
full water
island,
bottle.
Renato couldn't help feeling a bit curious. Was Lapino still waiting to be rescued? No. He was probably drinking champagne with the ravens. Did ravens drink champagne? Did rabbits? Renato felt oddly thirsty, come to think of it. Why had he chosen the Sky Ripper? Renato never made plans that required constant vigilance. He was a hero. He didn't think too much. He just went with his gut and hoped it all worked out. The Sky Ripper was a long shot. He'd have to devote himself to it. No side journeys, no rescuing old friends. That was against his nature. Could he stick with it?
Is there a quicker way? Hold on. I'm gonna see if I didn't miss anything. I haven't been to the Sky Ripper in so long, I kind of forgot if there's like a quicker way to get through it. I don't think so, though. Nah, okay. We have to go through it the entire way.
I'll just have a dash, thought Renato. That had been his mistake before, trusting his old friend Lapino, who'd been through so many battles with him and shared so many heartaches, who he'd rescued so many times. What was up with that guy anyway?
The truth behind the Sky Ripper is shrouded in the thick fog. The most believable tale is that the Transcendent Emperor had used the Sky Ripper to banish the Iblis Stone. Then the TE buried the weapon. Oh, the Transcendent Emperor buried the weapon and vanished. Was it a self-imposed exile to rid the world of its last divine presence, or was it the price to pay for using such a tremendous power? Could the Sky Ripper and Iblis have a deeper connection than just a weapon and its victim? My rituals will summon the Iblis Stone. Perhaps you should worry that they will also cause the Sky Ripper to resurface. If that is the case, I should spare no resources to find it. A weapon that can banish a god is an invaluable bargaining chip should the old ones decide to double-cross me. It's in their nature to try. The gods are predictable, and I can rely on that to always be one step ahead.
Had that door been opened before?
Oh shoot.
Boy, if looks could kill.
There we go. I thought I shoot. Thought I countered it. That's okay. When we get back up, we'll just heal. Well, we can't heal much.
Everybody knew you shouldn't trust a raven further than you could throw one. But did vertical drop count?
Okay. Let's start off on that last bit, and then let's get that last level. Hopefully we can get it before we start the final mission.
There it was. Sky Ripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers' dreams, anyway. The device was intricate. No one alive had the skill to make a thing like it. How was it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Sky Ripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need to hurry to face her. She would find him. Renato asked himself why he changed course to confront Zenobia. He'd no idea. Sometimes he would just do things, and he could never figure out why he'd done them. Usually, they worked out. After all, he was a hero. The truth is, though, he wanted to see her, wasn't it? It had been a dozen years since Swordfu School. He'd followed every rumor about her, every scrap of news. Not that he still loved her. After all, she was his enemy. No, it was solely because know your enemy. All right, maybe he should stop pretending. He knew exactly how she felt about him. But their love affair always ended with a tragic death. Unless maybe he could find a way to dodge tragedy. Surely he could, couldn't he? That had gone rather well, actually.
I really need to stop impulsively opening the chest. There's really no reason to do it anymore.
I'm just trying to teach you how to fly.
Okay. Yeah, we don't need to do any of the side things, we can just rush it.
Worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he? He needed some way to break the ice with this wall, so to speak.
I knew this way is shorter, or if, like, the sewer is actually like a big shortcut. I think it actually is. Then you wouldn't need to go through like all these guys.
Reynardo wasn't entirely sure how he was going to capture Zenobia. She'd be expecting him. And he didn't have Lapino to cook up a clever plan. Why was it again that he hadn't got the core? Maybe because the results tended to be disastrous. These streets were familiar. The Swordfish School was closed now.
True.
He'd been down that street 1,000 times. He knew that pub. He knew that alley. He knew the alley behind it much too well. No wonder Zenobia had chosen to invade this island herself. Reynardo slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bedroom. She was curled up on her bed. Oh, he'd forgotten how beautiful she was. How sleek. How soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She vanished. And he suddenly noticed he couldn't move except his mouth. In fact, soon he couldn't keep his mouth shut. He told Zenobia everything. Skyripper, the Iblistone, even where the secret rebel base was, until he was hoarse. It was some kind of truth spell. A talky truth spell. She called her father by Farspeaker Toad and filled His Majesty in.
But why didn't he get the core?
Croaked the Farspeaker in something like His Majesty's croak. Because I missed you, darling. Reynardo grinned. He doesn't even know why, frowned Zenobia.
That makes no sense. It's a trap,
Shouted the Emperor.
I'll meet you at the outpost, and I'll bring my interrogators.
If Reynardo came face to face with the Emperor, maybe he could assassinate him. But maybe it would be smarter and safer to turn Zenobia against her father.
Let's do the last one.
What are you doing? Asked Zenobia. Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? He asked her. She shook her head. He told her. His Majesty wanted to bring the lost gods back. They could make him an eater of souls, an immortal. But to seal his bargain with them, he needed a sacrifice. Someone who truly loved him. She was stunned. Furious. You're lying. Under a true spell? It's a trick. You can't prove that. Take me to the observatory, and I will.
I wonder if this goes back to that other timeline. Because it's seeming similar now, although we did different
What kind of
to get
proof
here.
could you possibly have? She said as they landed on the Nexus. Your father ritually sacrificed a village, and he left witnesses? The scientists resurrected one. Well, it's not really alive, but it can talk. A true witness. She frowned. The dead can't lie. Well, I bet they could. They just don't have any reason to. She nodded grimly. You go on ahead. I don't want the ravens to see me.
Maybe we'll actually get to see the true witness on this timeline. Maybe not, they might still be destroyed.
What are you guys dressed up as for Halloween? Just wondering. Or I could go that way, he thought.
There we go.
She caught up with him. Don't you think I'd know if my father wanted to invoke the lost gods? Would he tell you? No. Would you help him? No. I'd burn his books. Why'd he adopt a stray cat? You don't ask a thing like that. No. Not when there's no good answer, she said, her whiskers twitching.
The way he says it, though, it's like kind of messed up. Like, why do you adopt a stray cat? But that would make sense. But, like, you would have to be planning this for a very long time then.
The Emperor had learned enough secrets from Renato to crush the rebellion. It would be a fair trade if the scientists could convince Zenobia to change sides. There was an inscription. No spitting.
Nice. Started one-shotting near the end there. I think, yeah, because I think it was like a combo threshold if you don't have it fully maxed out. And once you reach like a certain amount of combo, you just start one-shotting people. Oh, it's still burned down.
The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers everywhere. The ravens had burned the reanimated witness to cinders. Renato was stunned. There goes my proof. These were scientists, not rebels, Zenobia said, upset. Why would he do this? I don't know. Let's go to the fleet and ask him. Yes. I'll meet you on the mountains. There's something I have to get first. But could he afford to meet her in the mountains? He'd given the Empire the location of the secret rebel base. They would need rescuing.
I turned Zenobia against her adopted father, the Emperor, but the rebel base was still in grave danger. Due to him spilling all the rebel secrets, whatever Zenobia was up to, he was too invested to leave her to her own devices. Maybe we should meet her on the mountains. I think we'll meet her on the mountains, since going back to the rebel base always ends poorly.
Why was he going to meet up with her? Wasn't it more important to rescue the rebel council from the almost certain Imperial attack? Why was he in this war anyway? Was it really to fight the good fight, or did he just want to see her again? One of these days, Renato thought, I should really figure out my motives before I pounce. Nah. Was it true? Was he on this adventure just to see Zenobia again? The Imperial heir was not an easy cat to see. Well, she'd ignored all his Kwanzaa gifts. And on the other paw, trying to get a date by joining a war against your intended was, let's see, pretty optimistic. But on the back paw, thought Renato, yes, it sounded exactly like him. Good, I'm so glad we had this little chat, he told himself. A very clever engineer named Elon Muskrat had got his start making floating platforms. Not many people knew that.
Not like this. I think this is the longer way, but it is what it is.
There were a lot of dead ravens along the side of the road. Someone had rampaged through here on a killing spree. What had Zenobia gone to get? He had a chilling feeling it was the Iblis stone. Zenobia was level-headed. Stone to make anyone bloodthirsty. You could tell her style from the blade work on the dead birds.
Oh, because I told her about where this stone was at, I guess she went to go get it. That also makes sense. Yeah, I gotta remember that you can still get different timeline endings no matter where you started. So even if you started with the Crucible or the whatever this thing's called, you can still get the Iblis Stone timeline or Lupino's. I keep forgetting that.
Renato had heard stories of a dungeon where chests were filled with potions and weapons. Fairy tales. artisans used. Renato wondered what he should do when he found Zenobia. What could he do if she had the Iblis stone? He reached the summit, expecting no one. But there she was, steaming, pacing.
I'm gonna kill him, she said. I'm gonna kill all his ravens, and then him, and then his family, and all the eggs and tadpoles. And then I'm gonna burn down their pond.
Did you go and get the Iblis stone?
Do you see all these ravens I killed? So much power.
Yeah. Great, Renato said.
You really want power from a demonic rock? You want the stone, don't you?
Not really.
Good. I'd rather not have to kill you.
He told her he loved her, that he wouldn't let the Iblis stone take her, even if he had to die for it. Well, he planned to tell her. Now didn't seem like the right time. She'd probably cool off in a bit. So he let her get in her ship and fly off. He rushed back to the Farfarer and followed her, keeping a healthy distance. Zenobia's ship was just visible through the clouds ahead. How could he reason with her? But he had to. The rebels were down for the count. No wonder. He betrayed the location of their base and then he'd abandoned them. And if she became Empress while she was in the grip of the Iblis stone, if she became Empress by murdering her father, she could still be a great Empress. But she could also be a nightmare Empress. She had to be stopped.
Yeah, sometimes Renato is just dumb.
There were more dead ravens along his path, some of them wounded in the back. He knew she could have easily talked her way past them, or clouded the little tiny raven brains with a spell. She was going out of her way to kill everything in her path. This wasn't Zenobia, not as he knew her.
Yeah. I guess, like, if there was some way to, like, convince Zenobia to get the core, or
I wonder what
the
happens
stone,
if I go that way.
and then he was able to get the core somehow, this would kind of still work out, because then he could still... I think he could still shove the core into the Iblis stone, and at least get some kind of sense of calm mind before they go on a rampage again. But during that time frame, he could, like, still stop her. That would be, like, the only way, but I still think that wouldn't happen. Like somewhere, like, someone has already had the core, has already taken the core by now.
So, his beloved was possessed by the spirit of a demon. That's what it meant to be a hero. To brave the darkness in your loved one's soul. To have faith there was still good in her. To help her out of that darkness, no matter what the cost. But what? What could he do? She'd kill him if he tried to take the Iblis stone from her. Oh, they really ought to put a railing on this thing, he thought.
Weird thing is though, like, couldn't he have told him the rebels where, like, what he was trying to get, so like, he at least delegate it? It probably still wouldn't help, but at least he would have all the pieces of the legendary stuff. Maybe. Or maybe it would still end up the same, like, it would probably still end up the same way. I feel like he should probably trust the rebellion a little bit more.
end of the trail of raven corpses was Zenobia. Her father was frantically rigging a strange apparatus wrapped around a glowing core. "Don't do it!" he shouted. "You'll hate yourself in the morning." "Stay back!" she screamed in a horrible voice he'd never heard before. It froze him in his tracks. The Emperor stared at him. "Run," he told the toad, "or hop." But he didn't manage to voice it, only think it. Zenobia stabbed her blade forward, and His Majesty fell dead. She began laughing hysterically. Or was she weeping? "Just walk away," she laughed at him. "I've no more use for you." There was something he needed to do, but he couldn't figure out what it was. So he did as he was told. As he walked away, he felt a chill in the world. The light in the sky seemed to dim. He didn't dare turn. He had a nagging feeling there was something he should have done just then. Something heroic. But he could not have taken the ablest stone from her by force, and she would not have parted with it willingly. A cold wind blew from where she had been, but he still didn't dare turn. And then, an awful laughter filled the air, and all the torches and all the ships went out, and he realized what he should have done. But by then, it was too late to do anything.
Oh, again?
But he already had all the secrets he needed. He was sure of that. He must have not used them the right way. What was the best, worst mistake he could make? Probably trusting that traitor Lapino.
Okay, I'm gonna take like a small break, so I'll be right back. And I'll be back in a little bit. Just gonna use the bathroom, and then we'll probably finish it up actually, like actually do the final storyline. So give me one moment, I'll be right back. Oh shoot, I forgot to put my be right back screen on. But I'm back. Give me one moment. Let me get back into it. Okay. Yep, we should be all good now. Yeah, let's do the final one. Let's use all the secrets right now.
The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again, faster than before, and he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Okay, yep, so let's go to Lapino's
Renato
route.
finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause, and maybe Renato could use that somehow.
But he was prepared to forget about that.
Renato couldn't quite put his paw on when he'd realized Lapino was working for the Empire. He'd never exactly seen Lapino sending coded messages to the palace, but he was sure. The rabbit had been on too many disastrous missions where he was the only survivor, or where he accidentally missed getting on the boat that went down to the abyss in flames. If Renato could prevent Lapino from getting back to the fleet with all the intelligence he'd probably gathered, it might be worth the trip. How had they come to this? They'd been on so many adventures together. Lapino had talked Renato out of prison at least 4 times, and Renato had rescued Lapino from at least 2 lynch mobs. Felt that the rabbit resented him. Lapino was hilarious because he was so down on himself and everyone else. But behind the laughs, he wasn't a happy camper. Was this payback? Or did the Empire have his little white tail in a vice? So that's what they meant by a firewall. What unlocks a firewall?
Which way am I going now? This is where the wall was at. It's probably backwards.
He could learn new skills.
Yeah.
If only he'd take the time to figure out which.
Okay, let's get the one-shot one. Yeah, so now once we combo at 20, we can one-shot people.
There was still no sign of Lapino. Not a hair, not a pellet. Was he hiding in the cemetery further down the road? That didn't seem like him. Lapino would betray him. The core was dangerous. Now, Renato had a fleeting idea that the two ideas went together somehow. And then it was gone again. Ah, damn ideas. They never stuck around when you needed them. Bloody and exhausted, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing shuffling his favorite deck. Now that he knew what the rabbit was, there were a few things about him that Renato didn't find so amusing anymore. You sent me an urgent message saying that you're in danger. Oh, I am. The ravens are coming. Now, I got a clever plan to kidnap Zenobia. Renato wanted to clap shackles on the rabbit and shout, "You're a traitor, and I'm not falling for it." But if there was one thing Renato was sure of, it was that the core of the Sky Ripper was dangerous mostly to its user. If he could put it in the Emperor's hands, old Isengrim III might blow himself and his fleet up with it. Yes, that was it.
Is forget an actor knows no spread years by the trader. Maybe you could give that select trader the location of the Sky River's core, and while Pino delivers the unstable weapon to the enemy, or will pay Zenobia. So we'll probably do this one.
Renato felt like a real hero, brave and smart. He told the rabbit all about the Sky Ripper's God's Eye core.
I'll go get the core while you attack Zenobia,
He told the rabbit.
Oh, wait, I've an even better idea. I'll get the core and you attack Zenobia,
Said the rabbit.
Right, yeah, that is better.
Agreed Renato. Perfect. The traitor would make sure the Emperor got the core. Now Renato just needed the Emperor to use the core. If he could only get something that the Emperor wanted very badly. Zenobia. He could save her and bait the Emperor at the same time. Right. Now, all Renato had to do was fight his way through Zenobia's invading troops, sneak onto her ship and into her bedroom, and kidnap her without any of her dozens of guards alerting her. Then, he would rely on her love for him to convince her how evil her father was, so she'd run away with him instead of going back to her father, who was going to blow himself up. It did sound a little risky. But Renato had a feeling it would work out somehow. It always did. Once,
Honestly,
Renato beat
though,
to a dungeon where all the chests were locked. It was awful.
it's weird that the book only takes him to this time period, because this is the only time where the branches change. So I think before this he can't see Zenobia at all. But if he could, I think him turning Zenobia earlier in the war would make this a lot easier. But I think it would be nearly impossible since I don't think the father's done anything outwardly bad
Couldn't hack
yet
this kind
to
of
for him to
firewall.
convince her.
You had to warm it up to you.
Well, then he wouldn't even know where to find her really. Oh, come on.
Renato was halfway to Zenobia's encampment when Lapino showed up. was disheveled and distraught.
They jumped us. I barely got away. Oh, they got the core.
Oh, it was all going according to plan, thought Renato. Now he just needed Zenobia on his side. Yes, that was even better. The Iblis Stone. Zenobia could get it. And then the Emperor would have to pursue them. Wait. No. The gem would corrupt anyone. Even her. That's it, he thought. Even Lapino. Even though Lapino was already a traitor. It would turn him against his secret master, the Emperor. He would try to make himself Emperor. And the Emperor would have to defend himself with the core. Boom. He was a super genius.
Send Zenobia for the Iblis Stone, send Lupino for the Iblis Stone. I think sending Zenobia actually gives you another, like, Iblis Stone ending. I think it would be similar to the one that we had already. But I definitely would like to see it at some point. But we're definitely going to send Lupino, because we're trying to do the actual good ending.
This is terrible, Renato told the rabbit. If only I had gone for the Iblis Stone. But now it's lost in enemy territory. He handed Lupino a map. It gives the bearer so much power. We can only hope the Emperor never finds it. What was that? Said Lupino. I think someone's following us. I didn't hear anything. Rabbit ears. You go on ahead. I'll check it out. And with that, Lupino hopped off with the map.
Yeah, it's just way too fun to do once you get a max combo.
Renato slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. She was curled up on her bed. He'd forgotten how beautiful she was, how sleek, how soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She was made of smoke, and he noticed he had a very solid blade to his throat. Did you really think you could capture me? Purred a familiar voice. I just wanted to chat, said Renato. Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? He needs a sacrifice, someone who truly loves him, to make a bargain with the lost gods. That's a vicious lie. He wants to bring them back. That's crazy. Why would anyone... They could make him immortal. An eater of souls. And with that, her eyes widened. She understood. Renato told her how he had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred, how he had slept in a burnt village. At midnight, the Emperor's victims had come to him in his dreams to tell him of the hideous eldritch rituals they'd been sacrificed in. He could still see those kittens and puppies, their wide, sad eyes, their moist noses. You can't prove that. I've got a witness at the observatory.
Well, we actually get to see the witness this time.
He couldn't tell her, not yet, why he was really here. He didn't want her to be anywhere near the fleet when her father blew himself and Lupino up. So he told her about how the Emperor's obscene rituals had raised ancient artifacts out of the land. How he'd followed the appalling trail of the hideous horrors His Majesty had perpetrated for the sake of his own immortality. Any of this ring a bell? He said. He told me it was all lies. You've always known when I was lying. I always hated that about you, said Renato. The rebellion had started after atrocities that the Empire hushed up. Renato had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred for one book. He had slept in a burnt village. Dead kittens and puppies had come to tell him what the Emperor had done to them.
Dang, lost the combo. It's fine. They spaced out though, which made it hard to like combo chain it.
Don't you think I'd know if my father started practicing black magic? Why? Would you join in? No. I'd destroy his books and I'd... Oh, God. Okay, you're not completely wrong. They've resurrected one of his victims. Well, look, I mean, look, it's not exactly alive, but it can talk. A true witness, she said.
Well, I
There are
guess he.
stickers
Oh,
all over the platform for really hot lady foxes, with pictures and addresses and everything.
well, I guess if Lapino is terrorizing them by this point, then he wouldn't have been able to send anyone to like actually take out the observatory frogs. This kind of makes sense.
Energy spheres. Easy to dodge, but boy do they sting if you didn't pay attention. For a moment, Renato wished that somebody had been watching.
Yeah. Just the speed up and then the one shots, it just feels so good, especially if you can get time stop during it. You just speed around one shotting people. It's amazing. Oh, we'll never see this witness.
The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers everywhere. The ravens had taken special care to burn the reanimated witness to cinders. Zenobia stared at the carnage. He didn't want me to hear the witness, did he? I guess not. What's your plan? She asked. So, Renato explained his brilliant gambit. Sending Lapino to get the Iblis Stone, become super powerful and corrupted, provoke the Emperor into using the core against him, thus blowing up both of them, and hopefully the fleet too. Let me visit your council, she said, shaken. I want to help. Could he really trust her?
Secret base. Why is that now? I should tell her. Lie about the location of the secret base just to be safe. Since Lupino isn't actually, we haven't told him this time, so we actually could take her to the base since we've done a timeline similar to this. Where we've taken her to the base and things were fine up until Lupino betrayed. So we should be okay to take her back there.
He'd done it. He'd made Zenobia see how evil her father really was. He wished she didn't feel this urge to join in the rebellion. After all, he'd taken care of the Emperor, right? Yeah, but she'd always been conscientious like that. She told him she had to go somewhere first. So Renato gave her the location of the secret base and they agreed to meet in the ruins. He had a very good feeling about this.
Wait, what is she getting now then? Because if...
What had Zenobia gone off to do? What was more important than meeting the rebel council? Had he made a mistake, sending her to the ruins? No. He knew they could trust each other. He could trust her because she never broke her word. And she could trust him because she could see right through him. Well, she'd probably be there well before him. She at least didn't have to fight her way through rainstorms of ravens.
Yeah, because like before when you leave her, she goes and gets the Iblis Stone, but if...
Interrupted story time! Caught the lead raven. Now we'll never find out how it ended!
since she's like not, she's not able to get the Iblis Stone, I'm wondering like what she's actually what she's actually doing this time.
As he came around the bend, there was Lupino, unconscious on the side of the path. And Renato could smell a familiar, sweet, smoky scent.
Oh no.
Who? Zenobia. It had to be. She never used a combat spell when she could use drowsy gas. That meant she had the Iblis Stone. What would it do to her? She hated her father now. She'd kill him for sure. The council wouldn't mind if she killed the Emperor, but murdering her father would destroy her. He had to get to whatever ledge she was on and talk her down from it.
Maybe I should have taken her to the mountains then.
Renato checked to make sure his sword was still working. Yep. The long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good. If only he had some way to break the ice. Or convince it he was a friend.
Nice.
Everyone in the council chamber was dead. Zenobia stood shivering in the courtyard, drenched in blood. Why? He managed. They started arguing with me. I lost my temper and I wanted their blood. Well, not me. The stone did. Why did you take it from Lupino? I had a plan. You had a stupid plan, she said. I'm going to go kill my father now. No, you can't. You'll just take his place. You'll become worse than him. Get out of my way, or I'll kill you too.
Okay, now she's trying to defeat the Emperor, but the stone will descend her soul. Trying to stop her would likely be fatal, so it's best to just let her go. Well, now she was trying to defeat the Emperor, but the stone would consume her soul. Trying to stop her would likely be fatal, but the feeling she had for him had to be something, right? He had to try. Let's try.
You won't kill me, he said. And I won't let you kill the Emperor. Enraged, she raised the sword. You hate him too? He could sense the Iblis Stone, yearning for his death. But she didn't strike. If you kill him, he'll destroy you. I know you. Shut up! She shouted, her sword trembling. I won't lose you again. Not for anything. Get away from me, he said, and he was very close. I can't lose you again. And he was in reach of her sword now. I hate him! I hate you too! I love you, he said for the very first time. And then she was weeping. He was holding her. The sword had dropped from her hand. He glanced at the Iblastone. It was no longer the black of the void. It looked like coal. No. It glowed, like a cinder. It was crackling, burning, crumbling into ashes. "You've always loved me, haven't you?" she said. She was weak. The stone had taken so much from her. "Always," he said. She staggered as he helped her up. "Let me take you away." "Where?" "The island of Avalon. The sisters will heal you." "He'll follow us." "Then we need the Farfarer, the fastest ship in the Empire." The Empire had seized his ship. They'd have to take it back.
I'm honestly still not sure if I did this right. But we'll definitely see.
Renato had a feeling that was the back door to something. But what? And there it was, his beautiful skycraft, the Farfarer. They would fare very far indeed, beyond the Empire, beyond the reach of the Empire, to the mystical island of Avalon. He didn't know exactly where it was, but he knew he could find it. And they would find peace there. Second star on the right, and straight on till morning, laughed Zenobia. And they laughed together for the first time in a long time.
There we go. I think we'll stop to fight the Emperor, though.
There was an inscription. Praise the sun.
Oh, we're actually not going up that path, huh? That's usually where we go to fight the Emperor, but I guess we're really not fighting him this time. We're just really trying to get our ship. Dang, halfway through I lost my combo there.
But they did not go unnoticed. Scout ships lifted off, and the long lance of the Imperial flagship. Renato turned downwind to gain speed. The Raven ships could pursue, but they couldn't close. The Farspeaker croaked,
You return her and live.
"Go sacrifice yourself," yelled Renato.
Then you won't have her either.
On the flagship, the Emperor was readying some arcane weapon. It couldn't be. It was the core. A devastating beam lanced out of the flagship. Bernardo zigzagged wildly to keep the Farfare out of it. Now the Raven scout ships were closing the distance, and the beam was getting closer too. Then came a blinding flash, and the air was searingly hot all around him. There was a thunderous, deafening roar. He could smell burnt oak and burnt feathers and burnt flesh. But when he could hear and see again, they were alive and unhurt. And they were alone in the sky. Zenobia embraced him. They had done it. Through luck and through love, they had won the war. "Avalon, here we come," he said as he held her arms wide in the prow of the boat and let her feel its speed. "Maybe the real Avalon is wherever we're together," she said. And so, after a bit of an argument, Reynardo and Zenobia went to one of the two Avalons. The one shrouded in mists, or the one in their hearts. But which one they went to, I'll never tell. He'd done it. He'd forged his own destiny. Well, he hadn't actually done it, but he knew what he would do. Reynardo smiled at the book. He practically wanted to kiss it. The kid's sacrifice hadn't been in vain. He'd saved the book and saved the world. Reynardo owed him and his mother so much. Reynardo lowered the mainsail and let the Farfarer shoot forward in the breeze. Second star to the right, and straight on till morning. This time, he would win.
Yeah, and there's a game. It's a pretty fun one, honestly, and it's pretty short, so it's pretty fun to just go about it and kind of just do all the storylines you can. Although, now that I see the ending again, the true ending, I'm not entirely sure if I fully like it, to be honest. They do get away and they get to be together, which is nice. But it feels weird because whenever our character tried to use the stone and the armament, I think it was the completed version of it, the super weapon, he got a black hole and it destroyed the universe. But when the Emperor was using it, it didn't. And this one fully stopped the Emperor from becoming an old god. I mean, he didn't really win the war, to be honest. Because, like, the rebellion is dead, pretty much, the entirety of it. Because of what, Zenobia did. And the Emperor is still alive to sort of continue doing what he needs to do, so he could just find another way to gain the power that he wants. So it's not like a real perfect resolution here, but he did get what he wanted. So it kind of works out in his favor at the very least. But that was nice. That was pretty good. We're gonna skip the ending credits here, and we'll finish up. Yep. Reward Ebostone and Skyripper always active. Was that? I don't know what that fully means. I guess the buffs that you would get from them are always active. Maybe. I'll try to check it out later. But that's it for me. That was pretty good. I really enjoyed that, and I want to see who I can send you off to. Who's online right now? I think Dinah just went live. Janicia, I believe, just went live. Yeah, we haven't rated Janicia in a bit actually, so I might send you guys off her way. Give me one moment. There we go. Thank you all for stopping by. Thank you all for chilling out with me and vibing with me for the day. I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.